You are listening to the Intimacy Chronicles. I am your host, Queen Jackie, and let me just let y'all know that the diva is running behind schedule as usual. That's Dr. Love. I mean, he has to make his grand entrance. So to my right is.
Quiet Storm, Rich, fashionably early.
And Mr. Sensational is not joining us tonight, and I'm like, how dare he when he picked up this fantastic topic of his. So, how was your weekend?
Had a good weekend. Had a couple shows.
Okay.
Traveled up in middle Pennsylvania.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this weekend was a great weekend. I went to
Field of Screams.
Oh my God!
I was in Millersville, one town over.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It was so much fun. I mean, I hollered so much. One of the people with us actually wet their pants. I mean, it was. I can see why it is America's #1 haunted attraction.
They take I know the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for like 25 years.
That's what I heard.
And it's mostly volunteers, and
yeah.
the actors are.
And they
take
are
it
excellent.
to the extreme.
Oh my God, yes.
Did you go into the haunted house?
I went into the haunted house.
I wanted to fight somebody.
The hayride
Uh-huh.
is what blew my mind, because it was one part where spiders just dropped down, and I have a thing about spiders. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I thought I was going to die.
My 13-year-old, she's still traumatized.
I know. See,
after 3 years, she's still traumatized.
It's real, people. So if you ever get the opportunity to go to what is it, Mountville, Pennsylvania, Field of Screams,
yep.
It's so well worth it.
It's an hour drive.
It's but I mean, after that, I needed a cocktail.
Oh,
my nerves was on edge, so we stopped at Fridays, and I'm like, give me a Bacardi rum punch, because I needed to kind of level out after all of that excitement.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they go beyond to the extreme with the special effects.
But it's so well worth it. I would definitely encourage anybody that's into horror. Definitely check out Field of Screams, because you definitely will be screaming.
Just imagine that. You knew it was fake, but you still screamed.
But I still, because it was lifelike.
Yeah.
And then having things jump out at you and touch you is like, wow.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, since we're talking about Halloween a bit, our Halloween show, the men are going to come in their sexy costumes. They think that I'm playing, but this is a mandatory dress up for the show, so I need them to take one for the team. Hi Maggie, hi Cuz, thanks for joining us. So tonight's topic, we have a couple of different things that we're going to be talking about. Mark selected hypocrites. Yeah.
In what context?
People that say they are against certain things, and but then I guess behind closed doors there's something different, be it religious or yeah. I thought that was an interesting topic, and it's one that we haven't explored. My topic of choice is I think sometimes when we're looking for that mate, are we 100% accepting of them? Are we we have a hard time loving an imperfect person. We find the perfect person, and then we forget that they are imperfect. We want them to be perfect. So are we setting ourselves up for failure in these relationships? And I think that, sometimes you go through a couple of bad relationships in order to get to that one, that end all be all relationship. And I think that those, not all may have been bad, but I think that you should learn something from each relationship.
Absolutely.
I think that you should grow as a person and understand what your needs are as you go through these different breakups. Um, does it make you bitter? Are you actually learning something, after these breakups? Or are you kind of blaming the other party every time you are, you know, every time that you find yourself at the end of a relationship?
So when you're saying, are we learning something, are you talking more in context of learning about yourself
About yourself.
and being honest with yourself,
Right.
and how you contributed or may have not contributed to
Exactly.
the breakup? Okay.
Cause it's so funny. I'm all about energy, and I really believe that your energy speaks for you. So if you got your energy is toxic, that's what you're going to pull back to you. And I think that people don't understand how significant energy is.
Mm.
You know, but if you find yourself in the same type of relationship time and time again, it's what you're putting out. You are projecting a toxic energy. So that's why I'm definitely big on doing that evaluation of self.
Are there any? Do you think there are any exceptions to the rule? Because let's say someone has positive outlook and they're trusting. Okay, they have that kind of energy or that kind of personality where they are trusting to a fault,
Mm-hmm.
and they repeatedly get taken advantage of. Is that something you think that they can help, or is it just more so they just have to discern who is right for them?
Right, and I think that happens more often than not. I think those people get played on
Yeah.
because of that willingness to always see good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I think that at some point, I think that people always show you who they are, and so where do you draw the line and kind of go in kind of a protection mode? You can be positive, but if you keep coming across the person that takes advantage of you, you're bringing that energy to you.
Yeah, then you change. Then you're going to change your energy in a sense where, well, you have a potential. I can't say that's what's going to happen, but you could change your energy into something that's more secluded. And
Yeah, don't go far left because of what happened. Just look at the role that you played in that. If you, and I'm just going to give an example. If you have that energy and that willingness to always help, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think at some point you draw a line. Somebody come to you with a far-fetched story. I need to sell my kidneys so I can pay my bills. That's extreme, I know, but I'm just using that as an example. And then the next week, they got another issue. I need money for this. I'm just saying that some things is kind of common sense.
Sure.
I don't think that you have to help somebody every time they have a sad story. I think that it comes down to you trusting that gut, because you can be the most positive person in the world and want to help everybody, but you still get that gut feeling
Yeah,
that some shit ain't right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's about knowing you and listening to that voice. I think a lot of times, I tell people this all the time because people say I'm lucky. And I said, I think I'm lucky, and it probably sounds crazy. I'm lucky because I listen to those voices inside when they tell me I play lottery and a lot of people know that. So if I get that gut feeling about a number, I can look at something and say, oh, damn, that's getting ready to come out. You know what I'm saying? And that voice is like telling me you better play it. I mean, I have to go by that because it's never stirred me wrong. I've been in situations where something may not seem right, and that voice is like yelling and screaming like, get the fuck out of there. You know what I'm saying? So it just comes down to knowing you and listening to, following your instincts. Because we've all been in not so great relationships. And because we wanted them to work, we overlooked so many things. Um,
One question I would ask, I asked, especially when people, not only just females, but even if it's a male, who been in a situation where they had a heartbreak,
mm-hmm.
I asked them, are you afraid of, are you willing to love again?
Mm-hmm.
Are you open to the idea of falling in love
Yeah.
again? Some people, and the answers I usually get, I would say it's like 50-50 down the line. Some people say, no, I would never trust again. Some people say, yeah, I would love again.
And
Even though, and some of the people that are willing to love again, they've been through the worst.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I think that when you have these breakups, I think that you shouldn't go within. I think that, okay, it happened, move on. I'm a person that I always say I'm in love with love. So if, like, my relationship, if it, whatever reason it doesn't work out, for whatever, it's like, well, that I probably wouldn't want to get married again, but I wouldn't be closed to love. That's the thing. I think that sometimes things just don't work. You could have put all your effort into it. Both of you could have. And I have to go back to this conversation that I had with my dad. Just because somebody's a nice person, it doesn't mean that they're the right person. So I think sometimes we get caught up in that, oh, she's so nice or he's so nice. That's all fine. But does it necessarily mean that they are the person for you? Um, and it took me a long time to really process that question. I was like, it kind of blew my mind. Like, why would he ask that? You know what I'm saying? Or why would he say that? But my father was like that. He always gave you something to think about. You sit down there and you're talking about something far different, and then he comes from left field, and you're sitting there like, really?
Well, can the right person be such not a nice person?
I guess it very well could be.
That's a rhetorical question. Ain't no way we could figure that out.
We can't figure that out, but I think that when you're in a relationship, and let's say you're in a relationship with that nice woman, and everything is great, but it's still not quite right. I kind of think that's what he was getting at. Yeah. It's still, everything is good, but it is still something that you're craving. It's still something that you feel like it's just not there.
Yeah, chemistry.
Yeah, exactly.
Chemistry means a lot, and there's no science to it.
Right.
It's just a feeling. Some people you just feel comfortable with. Some people you don't. I've been on dates where I'm sitting across from the female, and she's so attractive, and I'm not feeling that. I'm just like, no, I'm supposed to like you.
Right.
You look so good in pictures. You look
that's
so
what
good
I'm
on
saying.
my arm, but it's just not.
Are we forcing these relationships? Because I think a lot of times we are, and I'm going to say, from a woman's perspective, I think that we want it so bad that we kind of like overlook a few things just to say, I'm in a relationship. I got somebody to do things with.
True.
You know what I'm saying? But is it a good relationship? Is that the bell?
Yeah, that's the bell.
Well, I'm guessing he's going to get it. So I think that, especially if you've been single for a long time, I think you're more susceptible to forcing a relationship. And then I think you set yourself up for a big heartbreak. I'm going to ask my ladies in the group right now, what do you think? Do you think that because you meet a nice person that person is the right person? And are you willing to love an imperfect person? If you're a perfect person, or you come across the perfect, imperfect person, are you willing to love them unconditionally? I think a lot of times that perhaps going into these relationships, we're delusional, probably more often than not.
Yeah, it depends because if that person is, to me, if the person is worth fighting for, or not fighting for, but if they're worth the, because no one's going to be perfect, right?
And
No one's
that's
gonna
the
be perfect.
thing.
But sometimes we get a feeling like, okay, this is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
And
But now you've said that a few times, so let me ask you about that. As good as it's going to get, does that mean we are settling?
maybe it could be because maybe my expectations were unrealistic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard. So it makes you want to reevaluate.
Okay.
And even the good as it gets is still decent, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still acceptable.
Right.
It's just sometimes okay, she has to look a certain way, she has to be
Right.
this way,
Now,
she
I
has
think
to
a
have
lot
that.
of people have that the physical
Yeah.
appearance, and I think when you get older, I think that changes. Um,
So it's, so
yeah.
it's more so a reevaluation.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's and sometimes and I'm not saying good as it gets, not necessarily settling. Sometimes it's
But
you
it's
know what, this,
I
this
think
pretty
that
right.
when you say it, that's kind of how it sounds.
Yeah,
Like
it
this is
does.
as good as it gets. Um, and to me, it kind of has like a settled connotation to it. Like, well, this is as good as it's going to get. Let me just go ahead and.
Versus it ain't gonna get any better than this. How about that? It ain't gonna get any better than this.
I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I think over the years, I've learned a lot of things, and being in a long-term relationship, um, I've learned that sometimes we get complacent, and we may not ask for what we need or what we want.
Some of the things.
Some of the
And
things.
there are some essentials that we can't do without.
Yeah.
But then there's some stuff that are extras.
Yeah.
Oh.
So does that mean that you shouldn't ask because it's extra? I think that the relationship should always evolve. I think that if I'm not, if something isn't working or clicking in a sense, we should be able to discuss that and work on, tweaking it.
Well, if what you're talking about, maybe you're talking about something that it depends on what the situation is.
Yeah,
It depends on what the issue is,
definitely,
because
yeah.
if it's the issue, because there's basic needs that we need in a relationship, and then there are, let's say, I kind of look at it this way. There's the task, and then there's beyond the task, right? Okay, so there's the extra.
Right.
I really like M&Ms, and I want you to give me some M&Ms, but the extra might be, I want all red M&Ms. And that's an analogy to say, I could still, am I going to ask you to give me all red? I mean, go into that bag and separate all my
and
M&Ms.
pick out.
But that's what I really want deep down inside. But
I like that analogy, and actually that is not the impossible. I mean,
it's not impossible, but it's...
You probably only have about 4 red M&Ms in the bag, so... So goddamn right, I can pick out the 4 red M&Ms.
I want a big bag of all red M&Ms, so you need to buy 10
Well,
bags.
since they don't come like that, you better settle for these 4 that I'm going to pick out the bag for you and call it a day.
Well, you should have seen when my wife asked for some red bottom shoes. You should have saw what I did. I got me some.
Oh God!
Got me a red Sharpie.
I can only imagine. And you were in timeout.
Yeah, I'll stay in timeout.
Well, folks, the diva has arrived. So.
Yeah.
So say hello to the folk.
Big Nick.
But everybody, you know who it is.
Yeah.
The big fella of the show, Mr. 6'5", Dr. Love, you know who it is. What's happening? What's going on? Yeah, I said all that.
Jesus Christ, that was like 20 minutes already. So,
Like on Game
Don't
of
fucking
Thrones.
judge me.
Like Game of Thrones.
okay. I mean, so is it impossible to love unconditionally?
Well, yeah. I mean, it you can love.
I mean, loving the perfect,
Some-
imperfect person.
Yeah.
We're going to let him marinate on that.
But I think that's one of the issues. Sometimes we look, because I love you unconditionally, I'm going to look past all the flaws, and even the fact that I love you unconditionally, I'm going to look past some of the things that I know that's not right for me. You see, so I think it's easy to love unconditionally, but can you do it with a discerning eye? Can you really look at and be honest with yourself and love yourself enough to say, you're not right for me, even though I love you.
And I think that's a lot of people don't want to be alone. You know what I'm saying? So
What's the difference between being alone and lonely? It's two different things.
that's what I stress to people all the time. You can be lonely in a relationship. And so in a case like that, I think you're better off being alone, because to me, it doesn't make sense to be lonely in a relationship. I think
Except, I don't know, Jackie, except when you got 6 inches of snow outside and you need somebody to scrape off your car, you don't want to be team single out there.
Jesus, that's when you get the neighborhood kids and you pay them $10 a piece. Work it out.
I could be like, team single. I see team single, huh? You still
No, but I think that's something to really think about, because I know a lot of people that are kind of, they stay because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be by themselves. But I think that when you do that, to me, I feel like you're doing more of a detriment to yourself.
But it takes a lot of courage, though. It takes a lot of
does,
courage
yeah.
to let's say you've been in a long-term relationship. Even, I wouldn't even say marriage. Sometimes you're in a relationship with somebody really long, and you have, you're dependent on each other for certain things. It could, from finance to just basic things that you got used to. The relationship done defined you. The fact that you've been together with this person takes a lot of courage to start over.
It does take a lot of courage, and you have, and then because of your connection with the other person, you ask yourself, are you doing the right thing? But I think at the end of the day, it depends on your mental well-being, and because if you feel a certain kind of way, you could suffocate in that relationship. So I think that it goes back to you and making the best decision for your mental well-being. So I think that's very important. I think in relationships we kind of forget that, and we lose ourselves in the relationship as a whole. But if there are key elements missing, and you kind of at some point have to make a decision, you know what I'm saying? It is hard. It takes a lot of courage to do that, but.
So your question was, is it possible to love someone unconditionally? Now, is the question unconditional with all their flaws, or what's the root of the question?
The root of the question, when we're looking for a mate, are we looking for perfection? Because I think a lot of times we are delusional.
Naturally we are.
Yeah.
But like I said, realistically, I'm just, like I said, I'm more in the energy. I'm more in the vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even want to define this. All I know is I feel good when I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I like being around you. I'm old enough to know that trying to define things is a waste of time.
Yeah, and which brings me to a interesting. It's kind of the same, but it kind of takes us in a different direction. when we're dating, why are we so in a rush to define it? Why can't we just enjoy the moments?
Well, you're gonna have to ask the X chromosomes out there.
Are we so caught
for you.
up and after a few dates of asking, so what is this?
Sometimes
What are we doing?
Sometimes after the first date, you know.
Yeah, and I
What
think
are
that
we? I'm
ruins
like,
it
I don't know.
because now you have this great expectancy. You want the relationship to be defined so that you can make some other decisions, maybe to cut off some other people. But how about just going with it?
Yeah.
You know, just free flowing with the time that you're spending together and just see how it progresses. I think that we're so lonely at times that we need that definition.
Because often that's the end game. The end game is to get married, start a family. Because I've seen situations where you two couples are together and they energy is great, but let's say one of them aren't ready to settle down, and then there's an ultimatum put.
Right.
You know, and then because of the ultimatum, they separate.
Right.
And then you choose somebody, you know, you just settle for somebody else and you keep it moving.
Just for the sake of saying you're in a relationship.
And you want to get married.
You want to get married.
Biological clock ticking.
And I think that the marriage isn't the end game for everybody. And I think that's a conversation that you have as you're getting to know each other. Because where for a lot of women, marriage might be the end game, you know, but it doesn't. I think sometimes when you are forcing it, you're setting yourself up for that big heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? Just go with the relationship. See where it's going. It doesn't mean that you won't get to that marriage state, but don't be so in a rush to force it. You know, let it flow. You know, I think when you put it out there, well, listen, you have to tell me, am I your girl, or whatever y'all say nowadays? Are we getting married? This, that, and the other. I think that, I honestly think that that's petty for one. And I think, two, it goes back to what have you been discussing since you've been dating?
Okay. So, seeing that, my apologies for the lateness. But, let me answer the first question. Can you love someone unconditionally with their flaws? I'm gonna definitely say no. When we love someone, some of us love to be loved. Some of us love because it's something to do. Some of us love hard, where we just wholeheartedly love that person. Some of us love because we just want to say that we have someone to love us. When you get into a relationship, there's a lot of flaws that come in that you may not have saw in the beginning. As you get down the line in a relationship or whatever, you start to see those flaws. Sometimes those flaws come out after your feelings have gotten involved with that person. But if you still love that person, some of us do what you call an analyzation. Okay, so I know I love that person, but now I've seen a flaw that has sent up a red flag. So it's not that I don't love the person, but I'm kind of iffy about going a little further. Now, we're not perfect. Anybody who tries to find that perfect woman, you're going to be searching forever. Because there will always be a woman that has something that you don't like. And I think that we get into the dating for all the wrong reasons. Where we have came into the dating scene with our own checklists. So we start going down the checklist of if that person, they got everything that I want. So sometimes if it's 9 things that they got good, but that one that they don't have, sometimes that one is the reason that they say, you know what, this ain't the one. Sometimes if that major one is the hitter, but the other 9 ain't hitting, then we say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and give her a chance. Sometimes our priorities are in the wrong spot. As far as the relationship, giving the titles and stuff like that, you know, I'm with you on that one. As far as just dating, you know, sometimes, you know, you got people that wants to have a title, to say that they're with someone, to say that they're committed to someone, that they are attached to someone. The thing about it is that the more that you grow, the more that your feelings start getting into it. Now, you all don't have titles, but yet in your relationship, you feel like it's a ball and chain. Let me define that. So the ball and chain is, if we've been dating, now I got to know basically your every move. That's not fair, because there's not no title. I believe automatically, and me and Queen have talked about this, a lot of us get into relationships and we haven't cleared our previous baggage. So we bring this person into it feeling like, you know what, it ain't going to harm. It ain't going to hurt because I got control of the situation, so I'm not going to let this hurt this person. Not knowing, later on down the line, it actually comes up. Me and Queen had this conversation the other night that you should never get into a relationship if a person has not cut off their previous. That means you piling more stuff on your plate than you know that you can eat. When I go to Old Country Buffet, I pile up my plate because I know I'm going to eat it. I don't pile up the plate and be like, whoo, boy, that plate just took me for a doozy. And there's still food there. You eat what you can handle. Some of us are afraid to tell the person, listen, I like you, I'm into you, but at the same token, we need to slow it down and take a break because I feel that you need to clear your plate. If the person is into you and they care about you, then they will understand what you're saying and say, you know what, that's fine. You have something that catch your attitude, well, what the hell you mean? Is it somebody else? It ain't. No, it doesn't have to mean somebody else. It's just that when you have been in the dating scene and you can see stuff down the line of what could get ready to happen, you tend to exit yourself until you know that person fully got your back. Because you don't want to enter nothing blindsided. So I've had this conversation with a young lady, and I basically have broke it down to say, listen, I care about you. But at the same token, you got some stuff that you need to get away. And you need to do it because it's going to have an effect.
And that's a real conversation you had with someone?
Yes.
What was her reaction when she...
The reaction is that person feels like if it gets to that point, then I may find somebody else. She may find somebody else. and it ain't gonna be what it used to be.
Because people naturally don't like to hear criticism, because remember, a lot of times when people are, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you fine.
a lot of times when people break up, like you said earlier, Ms. Jackie, they break up, they don't see the fault in their errors. They don't see what they brought into the relationship. So so here they're in a new relationship with you, Nate, and you see things that they're not willing to accept. So in a situation like that, they're going to either accept what you're saying and understand, or they're going to get defensive and not agree with you and not see it as an issue. Either way, it's your opinion. But if they love you and and that the relationship is worth fighting for,
right,
they will hopefully they will take it in consideration and try to accommodate your perception. Because a lot of times, because there's been times where people might say something about me and I don't agree with it, but you know what? I love you enough to empathize and understand that it's your perception. So I'm going to address your feeling, even though I know it's not true.
Right.
Well, I believe it ain't true, but I'm still going to respect your feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to address that part, you see. So part of it is, sometimes people are very defensive because nobody wants to hear.
People don't want to own their shit.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Jeez, can you
People
please
don't
say that again?
want to own their shit. I mean, I find that to be the case a lot of times. For me, because I got a lot of shit with me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm constantly trying to evolve. I'm constantly trying to fix some things that I know is a little crazy.
But that's step one in the process where you can do a honest self-evaluation.
Yeah.
But even though you have a lot of shit, there's some shit about your shit that you don't know, that you won't accept, that other people say, you got some shit, but you got more shit than that. But I said, no, this is the only shit I got.
No, I know I got a lot of shit. I'm gonna put it out there on the table.
But there's always levels. My point is there's always levels to what you think is true or what you don't think.
You're
but
right.
Either way, whether or not it's true, whether or not it's not true, if you love that person on the other, that's telling you that, and you're in a relationship, then you have to address their feeling.
Yeah.
And start there, because it might be a situation where it's no changes are really necessary for you, but but in time they will see that that's not true.
Yeah.
You see, but it starts with a conversation.
It
starts with open communication, and it's very commendable that you would have a conversation like that bluntly, because some people will keep quiet because of the risk of losing their partner.
And they go again. I mean, sometimes loneliness makes us do and accept things that we should not at all.
It's as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets.
I don't like that statement, because I feel like that it's a settled statement. And not that you're looking for perfection, but I think it could always be better. I think that if you come together with somebody, you can always improve on it. I don't like as good as it gets, because it's like, okay, this is it. This is as good as it gets.
I'll tell you, but as good as it gets may not be that bad, though. You see, and that's the thing about it.
Not.
It may
right,
not.
exactly.
Look, here's the deal. Like, I've been trying to see this. I've been trying to grow this forever, and it never happened. And I want mine full like Nate's, right? But I know, you see, this is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah, but I'm never gonna get. That's funny. But
I want to get the kind of beard where the whispers. Remember the whispers? The big bush.
That big mustache.
But I know it ain't gonna get. This is as good as it's gonna get, but it's still not that bad.
Yeah.
I think so. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my point.
I get that.
It's still at an acceptable level where you can work with and you'll be happy.
Yeah. You can tweak it.
But at the same token, some of us that as good as it gets. Now I haven't fully came out and said that, because there's another term that we use. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know, so
Now I use that a lot. Now, wait a minute. Wait, hold up. Let me just
I'm glad
finish.
our other topic is hypocrites.
Right,
Yeah,
but let me
yeah.
just say, I think I use that a lot on things that I cannot change.
Making me sweat over
Yeah.
You know, on things that I can change, yeah. But
semantics.
I know it's semantics, a quiet storm, but I think for things that I have no control over, it's kind of like, listen, this ain't going to stress me out. It is what it is. However,
however you want to say it,
as good as it gets, to me, it's like, I don't
you
know.
settle.
That you settle.
That you just
Yeah,
done that.
I think when
Oh, it is what it is.
I don't think that's settling. I think that's not being able to change a circumstance. You know, you get fired. It is what it is because you can't change that. Not that's as good as it gets. You know, it's different.
Yeah, because you won't say, if you get fired, it's as good as it gets.
Exactly, so.
Somebody gonna be looking at you like, what the fuck? But a lot of people have gotten fired.
Now you get it.
A lot of people have gotten fired and be like,
I reluctantly agree.
it is what it is.
Exactly.
It is what it is. I
Because
can get another job. It is what it is.
That's my point. You can't change
You
it.
can't change the past. We're talking about some. You're looking at something that happened, and it's like that means okay. I can't go in the back. I can't go back and change what happened. But we're talking about something that you're looking to. You're projecting. You're something that you want that you have that's in the future, right? Mm-hmm. And you got as good as it gets. You got it bees that way. You know, sometimes, I don't know. But to me, all of it is, like I said, as good as it gets, not necessarily something bad. It's
okay.
It's you. Like I said, my bar might be really, really high, and I'm looking for perfection. I'm looking for flawless, but realistically, that's unfair.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is all right too.
Okay, I can receive that.
You fine, but
yeah.
You can't cook that well. Okay.
We can work it out.
Yeah,
because I told you when I first got married, let me tell you, I was the shake and bake queen. You know what I'm saying? But I can cook now. I ain't had time to be in the kitchen like that. That's real.
Shake and bake, that was your club name?
Damn it, don't come for me.
Did he? Hey! Now, I ain't gonna lie.
Don't come for me.
When she first said it, I was like...
He confused you, didn't he?
He was in the club.
Don't come for me. Don't fucking judge me.
Pennsylvania Avenue, shake and bake.
Shake and bake queen.
Don't fucking judge me.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah,
Coming to the club, shake and bake queen.
Okay.
Everybody bow to the shake and bake queen.
Look, she laughing real hard.
But I can cook now, God damn it. That's what I'm saying.
And that was a joke.
Yo, we shot
that
an arrow,
you came for her.
We kind of close to that target.
Yeah, sir.
I wasn't the shake and bake. I mean,
honey
cooking.
roasted.
What's that? Oh, that's a little bone that came out. Skeleton came out. That's a
Put
little
that back
bone.
in the closet.
Yeah.
Right.
What's that?
Right.
But now, chocolate, I'm going to call it.
Chocolate?
I mean, damn.
What?
Which way was she looking? I'm caramel. You chocolate.
What the fuck is in this water?
Oh my God.
pH 9.5.
I was going to call him
fucking up.
Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder, right? Because that's a friend of mine. I gave a friend of mine that name.
Look at the
I'm
water.
going to call him Chocolate Thunder. My bad. Let me come back.
All these
Come back
ingredients.
to
Yeah,
reality.
what is in there?
I was
Alkaline?
We're going to
She
test
is a battery on fire.
We're going to
Hi, Penny. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
My question to you, you responded, you said no. You cannot love someone unconditional. You care to elaborate?
There's going to be... Okay. Let's say you love someone and that person is going through some stuff where they told you, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it. And you turn around, you go out there and kill a motherfucker. Do I still have to love you? I told you not to do that shit. And you went out there and you did that shit. And you got yourself in jail and time.
It happens all
all it takes.
But that's
that means
not
you
love.
stop loving them.
Yeah.
That's not love.
Shit
That's-
happens.
That's not. So we're going to use that term.
I'm just gonna
We're going to use that term.
I think
because
That falls in the line. That falls in the line. It is what it
because
is.
You're saying they
It's
did
as good as
something
it gets.
that you said not to do, but shit happens.
I
And
think-
so does it mean because they didn't listen that your love just dies in that moment
Well,
because they didn't listen?
let's define love. Okay, so
I think Ike
love
Turner loved the hell out of
unconditionally.
Tina.
Huh?
I think Ike Turner loved the hell out of Tina.
With his hands.
He loved her.
He loved her.
But okay, so but my point is,
I
does
believe.
it stop?
Okay, I'm at change it. I'm at change that.
Yeah.
I believe that you can, because even if y'all don't work out, there are people that never worked out. Relationships and marriage. But if you ask them today or tomorrow, do you still love the person? Yeah, I still love them. My child's mother, right now, I still love her for having our child. Am I in love with her? No. But I still love her.
Mm-hmm.
I still care about her well-being because she's carrying my daughter.
Yeah.
Well, she's not carrying her, but she's with my daughter. So, yeah, you can love someone unconditionally. Yes, you can. Through their flaws and their shit.
And I said this in a previous show. You're gonna get 4 loves in your lifetime. 4 people that
Well,
you're
then
probably
they
gonna
still
love.
owe me 2 more.
You're gonna get maybe 3 or 4 loves in your lifetime where you're gonna love them no matter what.
Well, life still owes me 2. God damn it.
You got 2 more.
Yeah.
If we're lucky. And I'm just saying, we're talking about when you say unconditional love, that means I'm gonna love you no matter what.
No matter
And
what.
that's
yeah.
a no-brainer, because if I really love you, and if you're one of those 4 people that I loved in my lifetime, I'm gonna love you, even though we're not together. Even though even though I broke your heart, or you broke my heart, or something like that,
Right.
or we're toxic for each other, I still have love for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the romantic kind of love. It's not that kind of love, but it's love. I care for your well-being.
Right.
I care, and even if they do something heinous.
He was extreme with that, wasn't he?
I might be accepting that collect call.
Right, because you care about their well-being.
Yeah,
But let me ask this question then. So you say loving someone unconditionally. So my question would be to the both of you all, is that even though that you love someone, why do we say that we love someone? Does that mean we have to tolerate their shit?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
I think that you always love yourself enough
Exactly.
to determine what you're willing to accept. When it begins to affect your mental well-being, you kind of have to distance yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because it always comes down to your mental wellness.
Now, when a person has not cleared their baggage, that means that is messing with a person's mental, correct?
Okay.
Well, and I'm going to say that with each relationship, we take, maybe a small amount of baggage. So I think it depends on what that baggage is.
But not only that, sometimes you take childhood wounds.
That absolutely.
Things from your childhood to that too.
And you may not even realize it until something happens in that relationship that reminds you of something you experienced as a child. Yeah. So a lot of times we're not aware of all the baggage that we carry forward.
Because all of a sudden you're at a circus and you see clowns and I'm sharing.
Come back.
Right.
Come back. Yeah, come back.
Are you afraid of clowns?
I hate clowns. I'm not afraid of them. I'll punch a clown in the mouth.
You sound hostile.
Yeah, hostile over a clown.
Man, I never
A
like
clown does nothing to you.
And it's so funny because my family, they know the joke, and like Applebee's have the clown always coming by and blowing up balloons and stuff, and they're like, come by here. I'm like, I'm sorry. Let me
There's something that happens
every show, let me say it. We learn something about one another, and then we kind of look with that side eye. So So this will probably be an after the show conversation, because he went far on the clown shit.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
I need to come back.
And he was dead
I
serious.
didn't see that coming, but hey, you know what I'm saying?
So now I know not to come as a clown.
No, don't come as a clown, man.
What are you dressing as?
That's still in the air, Queen.
It is mandatory that we dress up for this show.
It's mandatory?
Yes, this is our Halloween bash, and it's kind of like anything goes.
I'm gonna come as comfortable, man.
For that, when you
I'm
say
come as
comfortable,
working
man,
man.
does that mean you gonna have a fig leaf on?
I'm gonna come as Nate, and you come as me.
Hey, no problem. No problem. I'm gonna need your drum that night.
See, they play too much, but I got something in store for them for Halloween, so I need them to be dressed in costume.
Boo! How about me and you come as the queen? I do it.
I want to see it. They're gonna come dressed as me.
I do it. You know
double
me.
Dare
You know me.
To come dressed as me. I double dare you.
What?
How we said as kids,
what?
I double D dare you.
Nate,
what?
Nate, I love you, but not that unconditional.
Halloween is
Don't
gonna be
fucking judge
lit,
me.
okay? Y'all better do it.
If you telling me you got a problem with that, that means you got a problem with her. Or
You know what I'm saying? You see the color of my hair?
Yeah.
Y'all better get y'all minds right.
Yes. I may be coming as the queen.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Oh my God. So,
damn.
when we're talking about unconditional love, if something happens, if that person does something, your feelings just don't change. You know what I'm saying? They could have crushed your heart, but you still have those feelings for them. Whether you want to admit it or not. Now, moving forward into the next relationship, how do you... Well, I always say that people shouldn't move forward until they've rectified, some shit with themselves that they know of, but also make sure that door from the previous is completely shut. You know what I'm saying? Don't take that other relationship into your new relationship, because then it causes problems between the two of you. So I definitely believe that you should make sure that one chapter is closed before moving forward. What I find in today's world that we have such a need to be with someone that we're not doing that. And somebody somewhere along the line usually ends up getting hurt. And is that fair?
It's never fair. It's never fair. Sometimes knowingly we bring it on ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because if I know what your baggage is, maybe at the point in time, I probably got into that. I just don't care. I'm gonna see how it played out and hoping that it doesn't go down the wrong path. Mm-hmm. But it tends to go down the wrong path. Just like I was telling you about the conversation. So even though it's been over a year, I feel like that this may be what I want to pursue and continue. But there's still that block that I can't get around, that she needs to send a demolition crew to destroy that shit before we can move forward. Now, one of the conversations that was said was, but you've been knew this. You're right. I had to come clean and say that when we first started this, I was thinking with this and not with this. Mm-hmm. I had to come out and say that. Most men ain't gonna say that, but I had to come face to face with the situation, because me and Queen had this conversation where the conversation was about time. And I really got real adamant about that.
Did
where
you?
I,
My bad.
anyway,
Let me
did you have to drink your coffee on that
Yeah,
one?
you did. You really did.
Did you have to
Oh
drink,
my
drink your
God.
coffee on that one?
You did.
You come in here with a new fucking
I
jacket
felt
and
like
you
that
think
was
you all
my
that.
green light too.
Fucking, you come in here with a new jacket and you think you all that. Anyway, I was adamant about that. And right then and there, as I expressed how I felt, feelings and all, I didn't understand it until Jackie told me about it. And I had to sit back and check myself. But at the same token, I had been wanted to put a halt on this. But, you know, when the sex is good, when the conversation is good, when the food is good, your mind gets cloudy. And you be like, what was I supposed to say to you? I know I was supposed to talk to you about something. And then you forget. And then it keeps going on and on and on. And then the next thing you know, 2 weeks, 2 months then turned into a half a year then turned into a year. And then next thing you know, a year then turned into a year and a half. But then when you want to stop it, right then and there, not saying that I wanted to stop it, but at the same token, it's like me and her walking, but we still got this load that it's hard for us to move. And it ain't even my load. But I've been there to endure it, but now it's to the point where this load is affecting me.
So why did you thug it out? Why did you, because all the other things were good? Or was it is what it is? Or, you know, why did you, was it a red flag in a sense where, was it a deal breaker? Was it something that you thought you could manage? Why did you persevere with it, continue?
I felt like that I could manage the situation.
So
in the beginning,
so you gave
I
it a
felt
nice
like
try.
I could manage it.
Because that's unconditional love, right?
I felt like I could manage it. Right. And I endured it. I dealt with it the whole 9 yards, through the ups
and the downs.
And the fucking downs. I've dealt with it. Now it's to the point where the situation has played too long. And now, if I want to pursue to say that there's a title, I can't. You can't give a title to somebody that's not yours.
All right, but look, okay, but did you love her? Did you love her?
Well, you can't say did.
Do you love her?
Well, I can say
okay.
Yes, I do.
Now, that's interesting, because what I'm thinking in a sense where you can love somebody, you know, and you could also love yourself more. Okay, you still love her, and I'm gonna switch that around. Sometimes it might be a situation where you love somebody, or you care about somebody so much that you will let them go because you know that you're not good for them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things you want to see is their happiness.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that they're happy, and you know that you ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
So you love them enough to break your own heart.
Yeah.
And let them go because you know that they're going to be better off without you.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do.
Yes, it's very hard to do.
None of these conversations that we're having are easy conversations.
But we make a sacrifice for their happiness because at this point, we're not in the same space that they're in. So I often think when we do unselfish act like that, maybe later in the future, you never know how things play out. Mm-hmm. That person comes back and you're in a better place, you may have a better relationship.
Oh man, that's so funny.
I mean, it can. I've seen like both sides, But then I think some people are selfish and are not able to let
And not
someone
only that,
go.
some people not even some of the things that Nate was talking about. It takes an exceptional individual
Absolutely.
to even acknowledge that and acknowledge the like I always say, naked and unashamed.
Mm-hmm.
To understand, that not only about yourself but about that person and knowing
Right.
that this is I tried, but this ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to make a change.
And in that situation, your heart, to be able to do that, you love this person, but you're stuck in a sense, so your heart is in knots right now because you can't have the type of relationship that you want. And it's hard letting go. We were talking about that. But you made a decision for both of you. You love both of you enough to fall back. That's not easy.
Well, so how did she, to finish the timeline, how did she take the breakup? Did you put sugar in your gas tank, slit your tires, or any of that?
No. It ended on a good note.
Good.
She ain't slashed your tires, man. She ain't love you then.
No, it ended on a good note.
There you
I basically had said automatically, like, listen, you can date who you want. I'll date who I want. Now, when you're done with your situation, if love is truly meant to be here, love will bring us back. You understand what I'm saying? But right now, in the situation that's going on, feelings can get so caught up where someone can be taken to a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just put that out there. Mm-hmm. That someone can be taken to a dark place because there could be comments made. When comments are made and you have feelings for that person, you in your mind feel like, I gotta defend that. Mm-hmm. But technically that's not your fight. You understand what I'm saying? That wasn't your fight from the start.
Yeah,
but here's
when
the thing.
When you attach that way, emotionally, physically, and all that stuff, that fight I understand it wasn't your wagon to tow, right? It wasn't your wagon. It's something that she needed to tow, but if you care for somebody, and you love somebody, and you see somebody struggling with something, it's hard for you to stand by and not help or not defend or not come to assistance.
It's hard, but I think that some things people bring on. I think that when certain comments are made, the other party has a sense of comfort to be able to make those comments because that individual didn't check that shit from the beginning. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it puts you in an awkward predicament because you feel the need to defend a person's honor, but the fault still comes back to that person's door because that shit should have been checked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because it gets more than just feelings.
I'm not,
as a man, we have. She'll love me when I just tell her enough, but we as men, we got an ego problem.
No. Are you serious? I never fucking knew.
I wish you had the camera on you. I'm glad the Instagram camera.
First of all, you gotta keep going to your coffee.
I good at coffee.
Okay. First of all, I want to know how your phone. What kind of phone is that?
It's a rotary cell phone.
Anyway.
what's
Because it rotates. It rotates on its own, and I've been like impressed with that.
No.
It doesn't.
No, it rotates because he's looking at you on your phone.
What?
Okay. What are you streaming from here? Facebook?
Facebook.
Okay. Every time you turn.
You're tuned into live. Okay. Gotcha. All right, that was a blonde moment for sure.
Jackie, you can't be pretty and smart.
That was a blonde.
Listen.
That was a blonde.
For
because
those
I
who
thought
cannot
that was-
understand.
Yeah, I got sidetracked because I'm like, but I forgot, and I'm looking at your name in the group to see that you're in here.
Well,
So
Thank you.
that was my own fuck
Take
up.
that and listen.
And
cut her off.
that is hydration water. There's nothing in there, but maybe it's too many electrolytes
Yes.
in there.
And then
because
there's
I
another to say
obviously can't.
perfect.
That was a hell of a
Perfect
workout for you,
hydration.
huh?
I'm telling you. I mean, I'm just saying. Who's joining? Hi, Arnetta. Hi, Pinky.
I'm
Thanks for
gonna write this
joining
down.
us.
I ain't
I'm
gonna let
like,
you. I ain't
wait, he
gonna
got
let you
some
live that one
high-tech
down.
shit. His shit just automatically rotate. I forgot that he was joined into the group. So, yeah, that was clearly a blonde moment for me.
Yeah. When did you get
I
that
own that. I own that. You know, I'm entitled.
But we have ego problems. So
Can you say that again for all my women that are listening?
we men have ego problems. And when our egos get into play, we feel like we don't want to be disrespected. That's the fact.
Yeah, and I that's absolutely correct. But again, that discussion still it goes to the other person's door. They have to check that. The other party has a sense of comfort where they can say certain things. And you know, if he or she never checked it, it's going to continue. So
It's some heavy stuff, y'all.
yeah, definitely heavy. You want to play?
Okay, give me 10 minutes. 5 minutes.
Do I have to let? Are you gonna let Mark know? Or?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
let him.
We're gonna take a break, and
5 minutes, like I said.
yeah, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. For those of you that are tuned into Facebook, when we come back, I will be streaming live from Instagram at Queen_Jackie A. Again, I will be streaming live from Instagram for the remainder of the show at Queen_Jackie A. I'm gonna type it in the group so that you all can join me.
I ain't pick those songs up. I'm slacking.
I'm sure I messed that up. I don't know what I was doing.
Hello, Lonnie, Joanne, my cousin J-Rock, Kyle, Jarrell, Vanita, Dondre,
Vanita left my feet.
Jay. Huh?
I said Vanita left my feet.
Um,
That's my Instagram name. I will be streaming live for the remainder of the show from Queen_Jackie A. Join me there after break. I think, did you let Mark know? He gotta do something. I don't know what you heard about me. I don't know why that song popped in my head. But bitch, you ain't get $1 out of me. No Cadillacs, no they can't see. I'm no motherfucking PIMP. I don't know why, but I don't know what you heard about me.
what's happening, Unc?
Instagram. How y'all doing? Look at Alexa. As you can see, that I'm a motherfucking PIMP. Gee, you mad?
And that's gonna be playing all the way in the home
It's gonna
tonight.
be. Cause I don't know why that popped in my head, but I like 50 Cent. You back? Okay.
No, I'm
Was that just a Michael Jackson shit?
That seemed like a little something.
Who's bad?
You ain't nothing.
Oh goodness. Y'all on fire tonight. On fire.
I guess that song will be in your head now too.
No, it's
That Faith Evans.
on fire.
I ain't gonna lie. That joint. You sitting
Yeah.
down, that joint will make you get up and start dancing. Man, I seen some of your I seen
Your
some of
radio
your
audience
guys
is still following you.
Huh?
I said your radio
I seen
audience
you
is
Oh
still
guys
yeah,
there.
so we need to be talking.
Some
Oh,
of your homeboys.
my bad.
You're still on here, sir.
I thought we took a break. My bad.
Oh, excuse me.
So I think you know what we were talking about. I think that's pretty interesting. So everything was received well.
Yes, it was.
Okay, that's good. So now you mentioned dating other people. Would you? I mean, it's kind of like that relationship is still. It's like a fresh breakup.
Well, it's more of a lesson, you know, you can have fun, you know what I'm saying, enjoy yourself and different things like that. I'm not saying that, you know, that's something that's going to happen, you know,
But you're as far as you're concerned, you're entertaining it.
You want to bring him in?
Yeah, bring him in. Oh, my bad.
You had a day.
I know. There must be
no more left
this
to right for you.
perfect hydration. So we
Perfect
will be
Look at them batteries in that water.
Instagram. Get your
Do
minds
yourself.
right. We are going to be serenaded by the smooth jazz tunes of The Quiet Storm, Mr. Richard Semper. Be prepared to be amazed. So those were the soulful sounds of Mr. Quiet Storm, Richard Semper. You can find him on Facebook at, what is it, Richard Semper Jr.?
Yep, Richard Semper Jr.
He's on Instagram as
Man Rick.
Pan Man Rick.
I've been wanting to know what that is.
Yeah.
Because when I see it, I'll be like, I don't know what. Oh, okay, yeah, I do know what that is. Pan Man Rick.
Yeah, the nickname for this is a pan. So
Who's Rick?
I'm Rick.
Oh, but you don't. Oh.
You know, like Nathaniel and Nate.
Don't judge me.
So we're back, folks, from our break. Hey, bud, thanks for joining.
Back from outer space.
So the topic tonight was, are you capable of loving the perfect, imperfect person? Are we able to love unconditionally, or do we put conditions on the love that we give to our significant other? It's interesting because your first response was no, that you could not love unconditionally. However, I think after carefully reviewing,
Yes. After careful review.
after careful review, you know, he realized that
Yeah.
I get so distracted sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, I think after carefully reviewing that question, you know, I think that Dr. Love realized that yes, he can. And now, when we are talking about loving unconditionally, what does that mean to you?
Loving through the bad times and the good times. Loving through the storm. Loving when you want to toss that person out the fucking window. I mean, just loving a person, you know, just with
I
their
think you
flaws.
summed it up. Yeah, I think
Loving
you
the
summed it
person
up.
with their
Because
flaws.
none of us are perfect. You know, we strive for perfection, but we are always changing. I think that we have to hold ourselves accountable for our shit. And how many of us are willing to do that?
Right. But some of us have to be willing to recognize it, because some of us doesn't recognize our own shit.
Yes, Lord.
And we get so upset when somebody tells us about our own shit.
Yeah. I think some of it could be that we're, as you said, we're in denial, or we are offended that how dare you bring up my shit? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think if we're talking grown-ups, yeah, we need to recognize our own shit. I think that you brought up a great point, Quiet Storm, because you said that some things are, you know, have stemmed from childhood that we may not even realize that we have as baggage. And all it takes is for something to happen in that relationship to remind you of something you experienced as a child. In your case, it was the clowns.
We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this.
Just bear with me.
So you're saying I can't come?
Y'all with me.
I can't come dressed
Wanna go to
as Harlequin for Halloween. I can't do Harlequin.
Why would you want to do that?
I did that last year. That was last year.
Yeah.
The white face and the little.
You want to go to McDonald's?
So can I come in as a mime?
Oh my God. Oh man!
I can't believe I revealed that.
I can't believe it either, but
Especially
I
It's
mean,
after
inside my family, it's an inside joke, and my wife will be like, "Come here, look, come bring the clown over." And I'll be
oh
sitting
my
there like,
God, that is hilarious.
now,
It's so funny.
it's kind of funny that you say that. You know.
So you know what I mean? They seem creepy.
Well,
when you made jokes about me when I was talking about the weather. Yeah.
No, but
yeah.
you know what? It's funny because this is our show family, so we reveal certain things. And if Dr. Love can reveal that he went downtown on the pillow,
Gee
hey,
whiz.
I mean,
Gee whiz. Where did that even come from? We ain't even
I
talking about
wanted to
that.
make him feel comfortable for his,
Thank you.
disclosing his clown shit.
I understand that, but you
I feel
came
so
with
much
you.
better.
Right,
I see
exactly.
the connection,
You
clown.
see it?
and
No, you do not.
Exactly.
You liar.
I can see the connection.
You know what? I hope the hamburger will get you in your fucking sleep.
The Hamburglar man, really? Why I just got that visualization? What is that?
But the funny thing, it was like, what's that movie? That's a movie coming out.
It.
Oh my God.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, okay. You tell.
You didn't go see it, obviously.
What movie
And I
is
was
this?
going to ask you to come see it with me.
What movie is this?
It's Stephen King.
Hell no.
Really?
Hell no. I don't do no scary movies. No.
Oh, come on now.
Hell no. So don't fucking judge me.
I'm judging
Don't
you on
fucking
this
judge
one.
me. Hell no.
I
I don't
mean,
look at no
goddamn.
scary movies. I get nightmares.
What was it last year when everybody was dressed up as clowns?
Say
and
what the
stuff?
fuck you want. Say what the fuck you want. I'm dead serious on that. I can be in the company of a clown.
That sounds like shots was fired.
No,
On that one, you came for.
I could be in the company of a clown, but what was it last year when them clowns were on the bus stop?
I think it was last
Man, I
year.
would have punched them, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck punching them. If a clown come up in the middle of the road,
Boy.
I'm hitting the gas. Not the brake,
Yeah.
the gas.
Yeah, you're right.
You want to be a clown? You stay in the middle of that street. But don't come for me. Don't come for me. I can't do scary movies. I'm sorry. It's been like that since I was a child. I can't.
What movie set you off?
Chucky.
Chucky.
Are you kidding me?
And-
You know what movie
Are
set me
you
off?
freaking kidding
Listen.
me?
See, I'm older. You know what set me off?
Clowns from Mars.
Don't
I
say
think
chicken
it might have
fingers.
been, it might have been an Exorcist or an Omen. One of
I was
them.
gonna ask because The Exorcist, it seemed like that set a lot of people
No.
off.
I think it was
I thought The Exorcist was funny, but that
When I came
That
up, there
just-
was Chucky, Jason, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
What was the thing that you can't go? Don't go and look in the mirror with the door closed.
the man, Candyman.
Yeah.
Was it Candyman?
Yeah, but don't say.
Don't say the name 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I tried to do that, but with the door cracked? Like if you try to get me the door cracked, I'll run out.
They don't bother me because it's like people,
Yeah.
But it's that supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Because that's real, you know.
One time I didn't mean to go off subject, but one time I had a gig down in D.C., down in Georgetown, and I had to unload the stuff, and then I had to park. So I found the park, right? And then I was coming back to the front of the building. Why did I go down them steps? You know them steps in The Exorcist?
Yeah.
I was like, this look familiar. It was the same steps in Georgetown, man. I was like, sitting up there with my drum. I was sitting at the top of the step. I was like, ain't this?
No.
Wow.
I would have been like, yo, Bobby, y'all down there?
And
Wow.
Somebody come to the step.
It looked just like the movie.
Well, we done got off topic
Yeah,
talking about clowns and going downtown on pillows. Hurricane Nate. So we're gonna get back on topic. Yes, it's all shade. You know.
Yeah, but 2 of the shades is towards me.
Okay, go with it.
Okay.
So now that you're not off
Is your camera rotating?
Facebook, so we can't really.
Is your phone rotating?
Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I'm telling you, don't come for me. I had a blonde
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, man.
I had
Oh,
a
man.
blonde moment.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Oh, man.
I'm like, wait a minute, what kind of phone he has?
Oh, man. Oh man.
This is my first day drinking
This is on rotation.
alkaline water, and I'm not. I think I might be exposed to too many electrolytes. It was causing me to kind of see some other stuff. But anyway, I'm not messing with you right now. Anyway, just next week we will be at Corinthians.
Oh, okay.
And
we outside on the
October,
deck, or we inside?
if weather permitted.
Okay.
October 30th is going to be our Halloween show, so definitely stay tuned for that. I got a surprise for my guys. I think they might come dressed as me, which that would be an honor, you know. But they got to get the hair right. So I'm just saying, you know, Halloween is coming, and that's I love that. I love dress up, so I'm not sure what I'm coming dressed as. So stay tuned for that. So my question, since we're still talking about, well, since you are still on the market, technically, what are you looking for? What it's a two-part question. What are you looking for, and do you believe your expectations are realistic?
I have realistic expectations. Yes, I do.
As such as
And what I'm looking for is, I mean, someone that I can connect with, you know, and but the one thing that about me is I can't do drama.
mm-hmm.
I can't do drama. I can't do confrontations. I mean, yeah, I'm a big, tall guy, strong as an ox, but some people just don't want to be taken there, and I choose not to be taken there. So I try to eliminate myself from drama and different things like that. So if you're a woman who have that, I can't be around that. I've met plenty of women. I've met women who can't cook. You know, that's not a deal breaker.
Can you cook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I definitely can cook. I mean, my mama taught me so.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you can't cook, that's not a deal breaker. I think that what is a plus is when you're willing to learn.
Right.
Listen, I can't cook, but I'm willing to learn. Okay, that's a plus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My expectations from a woman is let's try to build something together. You know what I'm saying? Encourage each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lift up each other. You know, I still till this day can't understand how people who have someone nice, good, or whatever, and they just tear them down mentally.
Mentally, okay.
Like just tear them down mentally, and then physically too. You know what I'm saying? Like how do you downgrade, downplay someone?
But sometimes that's not on a conscious level. Sometimes it's based upon their insecurity too. When you're in a relationship, I know, like I said, people change.
People change. Yeah.
And let's say I start off in a relationship, I'm the breadwinner, I'm this, and I've played this particular role. Then things change where your partner becomes elevated as far as quote unquote status, and now I feel a certain way. So, and a lot of times it's not on a conscious level, y'all.
Right.
It's not. It's like, and like I said, sometimes people have that baggage that they don't even know about.
Right.
So forget about revealing it. And you know, in the beginning of a relationship, you know, we start out on the first date. It'd be nice to say, you know what, deep down, I'm insecure.
Yeah.
And
most people want
and
to
all
admit
things
that.
are good.
Yeah.
All things are good until, you know, some adversity hits. So hopefully in our relationship, I'm going to ask you to marry you. I'm going to ask to marry you. But eventually, hopefully in our marriage, I don't lose my job. Because I'm gonna feel a certain ways when you bringing home the money.
Right.
Who knows all that?
Yeah. And now, in that
That's
case,
woo.
that's a
You see
big
what I'm
one.
saying?
Yeah,
Woo.
that's a big
Ain't
one.
nobody coming that bowl on first date.
No,
Because
but a
let
lot
me
of
just
times
say,
you don't know it.
You don't know
know.
because relationships change,
Yeah.
so you never know what's going to happen. But in the event that would happen, are you strong enough to handle, your wife being the breadwinner?
I will say yes because
Mm-hmm.
that's the natural. Who's gonna say no?
Yeah,
Who's gonna be honest and say, nah, yeah, I'm strong. Yeah, I'm strong. But
Yeah.
please, you don't know until you happens. You don't know till you get there.
yeah,
You don't know, and it's not a knock on anybody, but sometimes people don't know how it's really gonna affect them, how it's gonna hit them.
right. And when you start talking, going back to your statement, men have egos.
I was just saying anything about that.
Right, because when you look at it from that aspect, and she's the breadwinner now, that is a blow to your ego, especially if you're going to be out of work for quite some time because you don't know. And it's how would you handle that? Like you said, it's hard to tell that, but I would imagine it would have some type of impact.
It would.
Yeah.
It definitely gonna have an impact on your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but if you're out of work, you're still getting a check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
It's a matter. It's more so not necessarily the money. It's the matter of the being. Let's say
You're the
You're
provider.
the provider.
Yeah.
And let's say she start making more money than you.
Right.
Or anything that could change your status where you could feel less of a person. And I'm just using that as one example.
Yeah, but I think that's an excellent example because I think that's happened in relationships, and because it's happened, there's been like a lot of tension.
Yeah. And I think my point I guess I'm trying to make is you never know until it actually.
Right.
You never know what the true test of somebody's character until is when adversity hits.
Right.
That's when you see the real people.
Yeah, because it's easy to be, everything's peaches and cream, so we good, and until shit hits the fan.
But see, okay, so this is what came across my mind, and maybe this may sound a little weird, but to me in my mind, it sounds good. So so you got breadwinners, okay, and then you got what you call foundation holders.
And
So you let's say me and you married. You the breadwinner, but I'm the foundation holder. The foundation holder is the person who keeps the house running while you're still bringing in the bread. Now I can't work due to physical or whatever, but the foundation holder makes sure dinner's straight, make sure the house is clean, make sure the kids are doing their homework, got their bath. That way when you come home, you ain't got to worry about all of that. That's a foundation holder. Some of us men don't want to be foundation
and that's
holders.
what I was getting ready to ask. How many men are comfortable enough to be foundation holders?
They don't want to be the foundation holder.
Yeah.
And another thing too, check this out. Let me hit you with this one. First of all, you got the breadwinner, right? But the breadwinner can't stay together without the rapper. Do they sell bread on the shelf? What?
I mean, I like that. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't gonna never go in the store and find bread just sitting there out. In order to be protected, you got to be the rapper. Most men don't want to be most men don't want to be the rapper to the bread that really matters to the soul.
Can't have one without the other, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You ain't gonna go in the store and buy a bag that says bread and ain't got no bread in there.
But it depends on what your concept of relationship is. Are we stuck to our roles, or are we doing whatever we can to move forward as a unit?
And that's the thing. I think coming up, I think we are taught that men are always the breadwinner and provider. Relationships have changed over the years, and sometimes the roles are reversed. But back in the day, they wasn't. So I think that those families from back in the day may not have raised their men to adapt to the role reversal.
Yeah.
And there lies the problem. That's why a lot of times relationships fail, because the couple can't switch roles.
Yeah, and I think me personally, I grew up in a household where my father was blue collar.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was professional.
Mm-hmm.
So she, quote unquote, always brought home
The
you know,
bacon.
the bacon in a sense.
Yeah.
But, before my father was still head of the household.
Right.
And it was just, and my father cooked when, he cooked, he did whatever,
Mm-hmm.
He taught me how to wash clothes and all that stuff.
Right.
And he used to joke about, I'm going to make you a good husband. And I used to get mad, but then when I had my own family, yeah, I cook,
Yeah.
I wash, whoever, you're going to wash, I'll wash, or you wash, it's no roles.
And that's what we have to teach our children coming up now,
Jeez.
that it's okay, for the role reversal. You do what you can for the best interest of the relationship.
See, my girls come home, they're like, Daddy, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't you ask your mother? But they know it's like whoever.
Right,
There's
right.
no roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like I said, it's not necessarily what you tell them, it's what they watching you. Kids
Yeah.
are watching you, whether you're a single dad or whether you're in a co-parental unit, they watching you. So you don't really have to tell them nothing.
Yeah.
You just be you and lead by example.
Yeah,
and be the
but I
best you
think
can.
still we have that preconceived notion, even now, of the men being the leaders of the household.
Yeah, you could be a leader, but I mean, what defines a leader? You have to make more money, or what? No? It's just we do have
and that's where the line has came down.
It does come down to the money.
If a man
Yeah.
feels if he ain't the breadwinner, then he ain't the head no more.
But isn't that ego?
That we right back to that.
Yeah, that's
We
ego.
right back to that.
Yeah,
We right
but
back
and
to
I
that.
think too, some of it is our fault because I think in some households where the women are the breadwinners, I think they have a way of reminding that man that they are the breadwinners, which goes back to what you said, tearing that person down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then that's a different level because now you're talking about, we know you're the breadwinner,
Mm-hmm.
but for you to say that right now at this point, are you doing something to enhance our relationship, or it can
Right.
be detrimental?
Yeah.
Why would you say the obvious?
Yeah.
I could say things too. It's just it's funny because, like I said, it's if you in it for the long haul, you do what you can, and
Right.
I think probably nowadays people, I don't think there's as traditional roles anymore.
Yeah,
I
marriage
really
is
don't
not the same as it was, I'm going to say 30 years ago. It's more evolved. It's not just the man has to go out and make the money. Nowadays, you definitely need both people, for the relationship to thrive financially. I think when you think culture-wise, I think that a lot of times in other cultures, they've made the sacrifice for their women to stay home in some cases. I think when you think of our culture, we have to work,
It's a difference.
It's definitely a difference. But then I start to wonder, what sacrifices are they making? Is it that we are living above our means? That we can't survive on one income?
I just think it's the economy.
Mhm.
I don't think it's set up where. Yeah, I think it's a most.
Some of it is living beyond the means.
Yeah, I would have to
Some
say
of it is
that
living
too.
beyond the means,
Yeah.
thinking that we can handle something that we know we can't,
Mhm.
but for the sake of trying to impress the people around us.
Mhm.
That's all it is. You can't go and buy a BMW and you got a
Hyundai
$2,000
money.
mortgage.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you are struggling to say, okay, well maybe if I miss the mortgage payment, then I'll still be able to pay my BMW pay. No, that's crazy. That's sick. That's sick. You need two people. If there's two mortgages, well, not two mortgages, I'm sorry, but two incomes, y'all live better.
Mhm.
Especially if y'all coming to the table at bill time and know how to put things together and say, okay, well, we're going to put a little bit on this, a little bit on this, a little bit on, and we still going to make it. But if you got somebody's ego, because women have egos too,
Mhm.
because if you get a woman that's the breadwinner, she tends to look down on the man.
And I think that, and I'm not going to say that's in all cases, but
No,
as we
no.
talked about, if your first argument comes up and you say, well, you ain't bringing shit to the table anyway, it's kind of like you've been waiting for that moment to slam him with that statement. And I'm just going to take it back to the beginning of the relationship. What kind of financial conversations are being had?
Well, not only that, what type of person would honestly think that way to your partner? You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I agree,
It's not even
but
about finance. It's about, okay, inherently, what type of person am I marrying? Someone who would look at me, look at a situation or look down at,
right.
In a situation like that. Yeah, financially, you're going to have them conversations, but it could be situations where she could lose her job, and then the man has to carry the load, or vice versa. Either way,
it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just for the short haul, and you got to look and see where you're going. What your long-term goals are.
Those are the things you see in the beginning of. Sometimes you see in the beginning of a relationship. How a woman manages her money, how a man manages money. You don't want to be with a man who rather look good than keep gas in the car.
Yeah.
Or you don't want a woman who can't pay a cell phone bill, but the next time you see her, she got them red bottoms on that hasn't been painted with a Sharpie.
What's that shade?
You shade me, I shade you.
That was a grenade, and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
He was waiting to drop that bomb. Oh my God.
I knew before I was going to get one in. I was going to get one in. I knew it. I wanted to get one in. Jeez.
Oh my God. Well, I'm telling you, 2 hours go by so fast. You guys have final thoughts? I'm going to turn to the quiet storm.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Love thinking. Final thoughts.
Let me see. Final thoughts.
Are you playing the joke? Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Well, I think us as stop.
I think he was really playing that shit for me.
Yeah.
That's what I really think.
I was trying.
Oh, and that was shade.
That was shade.
I was trying
Son of
to
a
That was
God
shade.
damn.
He been getting you all night.
Okay.
He been getting you all night.
As far as I think as far
We
as
should have played it for you.
I know, right?
I mean, damn.
I know.
Shade?
Yeah, for him.
All in all, all in all, I think what we need to do as far as a couple. There's no the roles are not defined anymore.
Yeah.
And if you willing, what you have to do, you have to make sure that both of us, as a couple, are working together, as a unit. Because anything could happen. That's one thing. Anything could happen in a relationship, and you have to know the person that you are dealing with. Again, with baggage, as far as baggage, there's childhood wounds, or there's wounds, or there's baggage that people may not know about, and it might come up. So what are you going to do after you're already invested into the relationship?
Right.
There's that unconditional love. You love someone no matter what the condition is.
Right.
So, it's not an easy question. It's not an easy situation. Every situation is different, but you just have to do the best you can.
True.
But love yourself first.
Right. Dr. Love.
I feel that when you get into a relationship, you have to release baggage. You have to release. You have to make sure doors are closed before you open another door. Clean your plate before you pile more food on it. Never live beyond your means. Never downplay your partner. If your woman is the breadwinner, then hell, be the heel. Be the heel. Be the heel of the bread. You know, because at the end, the heel is still left, good enough for you to make a sandwich. I'm Dr. Love, and I'm out.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Sensational, your thoughts?
You have final thoughts?
I have none.
Count goes back.
Well, my final thoughts are simple. I think that you have to examine the energy that you're putting out there. You know, I think that when we enter into these relationships, the energy that we put out is the energy that we're going to receive back in. I think that we should always be working to improve ourselves. I think we all have some degree of brokenness, but I think that you make a decision to make improvements. And also, what we take from relationships is based on how we feel about ourselves. So, first and foremost, you have to love yourself completely. If you don't, you set yourself up to receive a lot of bad energy from other people in relationships, and get a clear understanding of what you want for yourself. Those are my final thoughts. Join us next Monday at Corinthians Restaurant and Lounge, 7107 Windsor Mill Road, Windsor Mill, Maryland, 21244. October 30th is our special Halloween show. The men are all going to come dressed as the queen. So that should be interesting.
You said you know, we were dressed like queens.
Yeah!
That'll work.
By the way,
Turn to the
you
left.
can, if you missed
Voting
parts of
in
the
this
show, you can go on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Queen Jackie A, The Intimacy Chronicles. I'm laughing at these guys because they're in here voguing, but they will be dressed as me on Halloween, October 30th.
Work, bitch.
Have a great night,
You better
Instagram.
walk,
Thank
bitch.
you so much for tuning in.
But it won't be no Brokeback Mountain in this.
Hell no.
No